Hello and welcome to the online judge training video for the Minnesota Urban Debate League. In this video, we will talk about what to expect in a debate round, how to respond to problems during a round, and how to set up a judge account. First of all, I'd like to talk a little bit about policy debate. Policy debate is an activity in which two teams, one affirmative and one negative, debate about a specific issue. Each team is generally made up of two students that take turns speaking during the round. We will go over the structure of a debate round on the next slide. Judges are responsible for deciding who wins the round based off of who provided better evidence and better arguments. And the topic being debated this year is criminal justice reform. So this chart outlines how a debate round is structured. It shows you the order of the speeches that will be given and how long each speech lasts. You as a judge are in charge of keeping track of the speech times and stopping the students when the time is up if they don't stop themselves. The document emailed to you details the structure as well. I like to think of a round as being divided into two parts. The first part of a round consists of what is labeled in orange and yellow on this chart, and the second part labeled in green. First, in a round, a student will give a constructive argument, which is a presentation of their case through the reading of evidence. After each constructive argument, the other team will conduct a cross-examination by asking questions about what was just presented. Typically, only one person is speaking during each speech, but students may ask you if they can tag team, specifically during cross-examination. This is when both students work together to ask questions, and it's okay to do if you are okay with it. So students go back and forth between the constructive arguments and cross-examinations until each student has had the opportunity to take part in each type of speech. The second part of the debate consists of rebuttals, the part labeled in green on the chart. This is when each student has the opportunity to summarize the most important parts of the debate and explain why their team should win. On top of the speeches in the table, each team is also allowed 8 minutes of preparation time. This is when they can talk to their partner, make a plan for what they're going to say. The thing about preparation time is it can only be used in between speeches, not during speeches. And the students will tell you when they need prep time and when they are done. And while prep time can be used all at once, students usually break it up throughout the round. So your responsibilities as a judge are outlined in the judge responsibilities document that was emailed to you. In short, once you are in a round, you will introduce yourself and have the students do the same. You'll then lead the round. I like to use my cheat sheet to announce what's about to happen before beginning the timer. For example, I might say, okay, we are starting with the first affirmative constructive speech. You have 8 minutes. When the speaker begins their speech, I begin the timer. And when the time is up, I say, great job. Next is the cross-examination. You have 3 minutes, and so on and so forth. While students are speaking, it's a good idea to take notes about what the students are doing well and what they can improve upon on the ballot, and we will talk about that shortly. Now, once the students finish, you will decide who wins, and you'll fill out your ballot. You'll spend a few minutes telling the students who won the round, your RFD or reason for decision, and telling each team what they did well and what they can work on for next time. And you will then submit your ballot online and go into your next round. Next, I'd like to talk a little bit about judge expectations. First and foremost, we'd like everyone to be aware of implicit bias while judging. Implicit bias is when we have attitudes about people without realizing it. It's a natural thing we all do. We like to share some common implicit biases in the debate world with judges, so more of us can be aware of them and mindful about them during rounds so we can avoid them. So while judging, keep in mind that in debate, Females tend to receive more negative comments than males about clothing and the pitch of their voice. These are things we do not take into consideration in debate. Females also tend to receive more negative comments about aggression than males do. Also, teams that are dressed nicer or have nicer looking Zoom backgrounds or maybe no tech issues during a round might be scored higher. And finally, people with accents tend to receive lower speaker points. These are examples of things that should not affect our judging decisions during a round. Overall, remember that the students you'll be judging will take your comments very seriously. They'll be looking to you as a role model, so be the best educator that you can during a round. In addition to being aware of implicit bias, I'd also like to touch upon the sensitive nature of the topic this year. Discussions in your debate rounds may be triggering to students, which means students may become stressed because of a traumatic memory. Because of this, camp teachers will be talking about this with students and teaching skills such as self-awareness, self-care, and how to respond to conflict in hopes that this will give students the tools and practice they need to respond to a trigger in a healthy way. There are a few things you can do as a judge to be on the same page. First, do the very best you can to create an environment that feels welcoming, feels supportive, and safe for students. If during a round you notice that an argument is getting a little heated and somebody is losing their cool, please either ask the students if they would like to or just announce that you are all going to take a quick 3-minute break to turn off or leave your cameras regardless of where you're at in the round. The students are aware that this might happen during a round and should know about some self-regulation skills they can use to calm down if they need to. Also know that students can request a break if they'd like to. Sometimes it's not very obvious to an observer, like a judge, that somebody is being triggered. So if a student asks for a break, please allow it. And finally, if an incident does take place, please let a staff member know, just so we can check in with the student afterwards. So to sum this part of the training up, when you are in a round, you'll first introduce yourself. Then you'll listen to the debate. You're in charge of keeping track of speech times, taking notes throughout the debate. And while you're listening, be impartial. Try not to bring your own personal opinions about the topic into the round. And remind students that mistakes are okay, especially if somebody is clearly looking nervous about competing. Once the round is over, you will score and give students feedback. I like to think of scoring students based on how well, they told the debate story. So how well they brought the affirmative arguments together with the negative arguments to explain to the judge why their team should win. And when you're done scoring and giving feedback, you will submit your ballot and continue on to your next round. And please let a staff member know if you have any problems or questions. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. To confirm you saw this video, please send the phrase "red race car" to UDL volunteers at augsburg.edu, along with any questions you thought of during the video. And if you have any questions you would prefer to ask more face-to-face, you can come to the competition a little bit early and then ask any questions you have over Zoom before the competition starts. Thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you at the virtual tournament.